Bun găsit! Feel the Markets, ca de obicei, suntem live la emisiunea zilnică dedicată piețelor financiare. Astăzi, alături de noi, a venit Divo Pulitika, care este membru în Consiliul de Administrație al InterCapital ETF. Hello, Divo. Welcome back to Feel the Markets.
Hi, thank you very much for having me again.
Welcome.
Divo, the Romanian stock market had a very good performance the first half of this year. What is your opinion about this, and how do you see this the Romanian stock market in the global markets, where it's situated? And we will discuss later about this MSCI criteria, because this is very important about the future of this position in the, let's say, European stock markets.
Well, when you say that Romania had a great performance since the beginning of the year, it's not actually since the beginning of the year. It's since the presidential elections.
Exactly, from May.
So, exactly, yeah. So the growth, if we annualize it, it's
Yes.
really amazing since that period. But if we look at what has been going on in the region, like generally, other markets have performed wonderfully both last year and since the beginning of this year. So Romania is catching up in a way, I would say so. And it still hasn't grown as much. Like if we look at a year-on-year growth or a bit longer periods, like compared to Poland, compared to Slovenia or some other countries in the region, it still hasn't grown that much. And the reason is the uncertainties that we unfortunately still have with Romania, both with the current political situation, whether the government is stable or whether there will be changes, with the fiscal measures that have been introduced and so on. However, as you said, we've seen amazing performance both on equity and on fixed income. So it does show that investors in general look at Romania in a much more positive way now than they did prior to the elections.
Mm-hmm. So you said that the investors, foreign investors especially, are looking at Romania in a more positive way, but not because of the economic fundamentals, but rather than from a political point of view, because as I think you already know, we have a new president, since May 2025, and we hope that the new elected president will take us a little bit maybe to an western side of the story, not eastern side of the story. And I think that was the major trigger that helped somehow investors gain or regain the trust in the Romanian market. But how do you see, actually, my question is, how do you see Romania performing from an economic point of view in the next, 1 year or 2 years maybe?
Well, it depends. It depends a lot on what the government does, fiscal-wise and so on. You probably know better than me all the fiscal measures that have been either introduced or proposed so far. They are, let's say, trying to extinguish the fire that's in Romania right now with a very high budget deficit and really trying to avoid becoming rated as junk. You might know that becoming rated as junk would make finding new sources of financing very difficult. The cost, the interest rates would go up. A number of investors would be forced to sell fixed income, maybe even stay away from equities, and so on. So the measures that were introduced are really focused on this. Let's not lose our current status. Let's not become junk. Now, if we look at it from a perspective of the next, let's say, 2 or 3 years, these measures are in a way very limiting to the economic growth. Simply increasing tax rates or introducing new taxes doesn't really help you in the long run, right? What you would ideally like to do is making your economy more competitive. So bringing more investments, helping local companies to grow further, increasing the consumption of your local people, the Romanians, and so on.
Yeah.
The measures we've seen so far don't seem to be targeted towards that, and this is a major concern. I would say that we see ourselves, and also many other foreign investors. We are waiting for the step 2, the next proposed measures. As I said, once you figure out the budget deficit, once you remain in the investment grade, what comes next? How to help the economy grow further? I think there's a lot of potential in Romania. I mean, if you look at the vast natural riches that Romania has, something that is going to happen very soon is the commencement of extraction of gas from Neptune Deep, right? So this would help both the economy in general and especially some of the largest companies in the VET index. There is also, again, you know this much better than me, but a vibrant IT industry in Romania, something that is also has been one of the key growth pillars, not just for Romania, but for global companies in general. So I do believe that Romania has potential there, but the politicians just need to find an agreement and settle on this.
This is more difficult. We will see what will happen. We are used with these politicians in the last 30 years. Let's talk about the position in European markets and global markets. Okay, our stock exchange market is secondary emerging market by FTSE 100, yes, FTSE Russell, and but the eyes are on MSCI criteria, and we want to go to emerging markets because the flow of bigger money will come into our stock market. But we have a problem for years with this, and let's talk about these criteria. They change a little bit. It's not very good for us. We are now advanced frontier market, yes, alongside with Baltics and Slovenia. But what does it mean, advance from clear frontier markets?
Not much, unfortunately. So being frontier means, I would say, almost nothing. It means that you are investable in a way, but at this point there are no ETFs passively tracking these indices, and pretty much, not many investors really look at these markets if we compare it to other markets globally. Emerging market is something else. Romania has been on the, I would say, forefront, like almost becoming emerging market for like 10 or more years now. And I wouldn't be surprised if the new advanced frontier was only introduced because of Romania, to kind of show investors that there is a country that's, dancing on the edge there, could become part of the emerging world, but it still lacks a couple of things. So advanced frontier only means that, okay, in a number of years, you might become a part of the emerging. That's when you would tap into the passive flows. For the moment, there are no passive investors tracking the advanced frontier because it's rather new. So I think they didn't even have the time to introduce products that would do it. And honestly, I would be surprised if there is interest in making such type of products there. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be, it's nice to be a part of advanced frontier, like in a special bucket where you can say I'm a bit special, but it doesn't give a lot. Really, the focus should be emerging market and what needs to be done to get there.
Let's talk about this criteria, very important. Liquidity, yes, there are market cap, free float, and liquidity, no?
Yeah. If we...
Please, yes, continue.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of more criteria, but Romania ticks them all. Your economy needs to be open. There needs to be like free float of capital and so on. So all of these criteria are met. The criteria that are still to be met are these like numerical ones, I would say. And yes, it's mostly about the company's size and their liquidity. You have one of the visuals that we prepared here, and you can see that there are three things that need to be met. So the full size of the company needs to be at least almost 4 billion euros. Out of that free float, that's the part of the company that's really available to trade on the market, needs to be at least 1.7 billion euros. And then your turnover of that free float needs to be at least 15% annually. And you need to have three companies at least meeting these criteria for a total period of 2 years. There's only one company at this point in Romania that meets this. It's Hidroelectrica, and it's I would say it's pretty stable there. So there is no risk that Hidroelectrica will go below any of these criteria. What remains is finding another two. A good thing here is that we have three contenders. Out of them, two are, I would say, very close to meeting this. OMV Petrom and Banca Transilvania, they meet the size criteria without any problems, actually. The only thing that's lacking is liquidity. But then again, if you look at this, OMV Petrom needs 20% more average daily turnover, and Banca Transilvania needs 10-11%. This could be done. When I calculated these numbers, they were calculated based on the previous 1 year period. Don't forget that in this period, Romania was not traded that much because investors were, keeping their money aside, not sure what's going to happen with the country and so on. We have seen an increase in turnover since the presidential elections. So hopefully, if this continues like this, maybe in some time we could have both OMV Petrom and Banca Transilvania meeting these criteria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, these criteria need to be met consistently for 2 years.
So you say that these 2 years, in these 2 years, actually, all the criteria have to be met continuously. I mean, we cannot have any quarter with the interruption. I mean, if there's something happens along the way, then these these measures reset, and then they are beginning once again, or how does it how it is?
Yeah, that's what MSCI rules say for the moment. It is, I mean, these rules were changed this summer, so it doesn't mean that they cannot change them again. Okay. Maybe they see, okay, we had a very long period of meeting these criteria, and then there was like a one-off somewhere. Maybe something could happen, but I wouldn't count on that. Also, I wouldn't really I wouldn't be very comfortable only hoping to have 3 companies meeting these criteria. I would be much more comfortable if there were at least 4 or 5. So if Romania were to really focus on becoming a part of the emerging world, I would suggest doing something to have even more companies contending for this place in the emerging world. Again, if you look at the graphics that we have here, okay, Romgaz needs a lot more turnover. I would be surprised to see it happening anytime soon, turnover growing this much. But we have, for example, we have Nuclearelectrica, a company that, if you look here, they are missing both the free float and the liquidity. Now, both Romgaz and Nuclearelectrica seem to be far away from meeting the criteria, but if we take into account that the Romanian state still owns 70% of Romgaz and almost 82% of Nuclearelectrica, they could float even more of this. So they could offer it on the exchange. They could still remain above 50%, so they could remain the majority owner, making most of the decisions and having the final vote on the assemblies. But this would pretty much solve the size criteria for nuclear electrica and even boost it for Romgaz. Don't
but
forget that
these questions actually or these discussions will raise a lot of questions regarding the ownership of the company, because I think you already know how people react when I don't know, politicians or representatives of the stock market and so on, brokers and so on, they say we will not lose the ownership of the company if we will sell another minority stake, even if it's 5%, 10%, 15%, and whatever. Yeah, if we will still have above 51%, then it will be okay. But there were a lot of discussions regarding these operations, and I think we are stuck somewhere. I don't know where, but we are stuck anyway. Yeah.
Even with hydroelectrica, they say we sell the fortune to the foreigners, and we sell hydroelectrica. But you know very well the state continues to own.
Anyway, this kind of operation would take time, and it cannot be done. I don't know, tomorrow or in the next weeks or month. It will take, I think, as I saw, at least 6 months, 6 to 9 months, something like this. But it would be maybe it would be a good idea, or actually a great idea, if some of these steps would be taken. We will see if this will happen.
Let's say 1 year and another 2 years to meet and to have these criteria full, and let's say at least 3 years to see emerging markets in the world, in the best case. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe 5 years. Let's say 5 years.
Well, a minimum is 2, even if you start meeting all the criteria now, which you don't. So I would say, we are closer to 3 to 5 years. That would be my guess. But if I may touch upon what you said just now about, people thinking that you're selling national wealth and so on. I mean, this is true in a way, but this is why there should be like a consensus, and Romania should know why they want to be a part of the emerging market. If you just kind of sell these companies and don't leverage the fact that you become a member of the emerging market, then probably maybe, altogether you would be unchanged or even worse off. But the way that the emerging market can be leveraged is by actually increasing liquidity, increasing the availability of capital on the local market. If Romania were to focus on helping its local entrepreneurs step into this, so making it easier, making them know that they can count on IPOs, on SPOs to attract additional capital, and so on, and if in this way fresh capital would start pouring into Romania, that's when the economy altogether, and probably Romanians in general as well, would start feeling a change. If this step doesn't happen, then emerging market, then it's just something that's for those who invest on the stock exchange, and it remains there. So emerging market is much more than just that growing. It's helping the economy grow by reducing the cost of capital and making more capital actually available for Romanians to invest.
Yeah, we have to see actually, we have to concentrate rather on the benefits than on the, the threatenings or something like this regarding this passing from frontier and to emerging market. Anyway.
Yes, but the people who decide must know these things. We know, everybody know, the investors know, but unfortunately it's not us who decide. Anyway, we wait now for another 3 companies to come to the stock market. Let's hope these weeks we will hear about, I don't know, the airports, maybe Czech Bank, why not, and others in transport, to see maybe helps a little bit and start with these companies. Why not? to meet the criteria in 2 years. We will see.
Yeah. Let's switch the discussion now to sorry, not this one. It's this one. Yeah. To another analysis that you've made a few days ago, as far as I remember, regarding the performance of the CE markets versus the global markets, and it's a very interesting analysis that you made here. You actually highlighted the evolution, which was very good, the Romanian stock market evolution, and also the Slovenian stock market evolution. They actually outpassed something like Nasdaq and other big markets. How do you see this evolution with these two small countries, actually, even if Romania is much bigger than Slovenia?
Yeah, I mean, this analysis raised a lot of questions, and now I'm sorry that I didn't add another line to this or another column that would actually show the growth of earnings on these markets. So generally, if you're an investor and you see like an index or a market that has been growing so fast, or let's take Slovenia, more than 50% this year alone, the first thing that would come to your mind is checking whether this is overheated, whether this is a bubble, right? What has been happening in most of these SE countries, so Slovenia, Romania, and so on, throughout these 10 years is actually a fast growth of economy, I would say, but an even faster growth of company earnings. So the companies that really adopted, high standards, efficient managements, and so on, they really managed to profit from becoming a part of the EU, growing economies, and so on. A way to see this in both Slovenia and Romania in this case is that even though the growth has been so big, the multiples are still rather low compared to some other markets. So 10 to 12 times price earnings is, I would say, definitely far from overheated. If we compare this to, let's say, 2007, 2008, right before the financial crisis, the great financial crisis, we used to see numbers like 70 or even 100 in some of the markets. That was like an indicator of a market really being overheated. This time we really have company growth, like earnings growth, companies becoming more efficient. And this is what has been growing our markets. And I think this is a healthy growth, especially taking into account that I'm a strong believer that our region can continue growing in the years to come. There are hiccups from time to time, obviously, like Romania is experiencing right now, but in a longer period, I believe we can keep growing.
But if we look at these numbers further, we see Poland, which is a standard for us, and we look to Poland every time and every year, and not only on the capital market. They have 80% the last 10 years. Comparing to more than 400, 500, let's say, it's too much. Let's say 385 BTR. But Poland was quickly emerging market and then developed market very quickly. But 80%, they lost a lot of years with no returns. What happened there?
Yeah.
And maybe this is a risk for also for Romania in the future. Anyway, we will not see Romania develop market, never. But let's think about Poland. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, if you look into what kind of period this is, so this is basically from 2015 up until now. And if you know what has been going on in Poland, there has been a lot. So their index there's a heavy weight of financials, for example, and some of them were really hurt by some of the policies that were introduced to the country. You had there were different kinds of taxes, so much uncertainty about how the government will regulate these sectors. You had a period when they basically privatized their pension, the third pension, actually the second pension pillar. So all of this kind of uncertainty in terms of the governments of the country, I would say, the policies that are introduced by the government, that what kind of keeps investors at bay. And you are right. This is also something that Romania should be aware of. If the uncertainty prolongs, this will be a major drag on how the investors see the country in general.
If we look comparing Eastern Europe, we see they has outperformed Western Europe over the last 10 years. Yes, this trend could continue the next decade.
I mean, it has been outperforming for more than 10 years. This was just, I took 10 years here because that's quite, you didn't have all these indices like 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, the outperformance of the Eastern Europe, or Central and Eastern Europe, how we prefer to say, is a lot due to the economic development. So it wasn't just things going on the exchanges. It was real economies growing faster than Western Europe. It had a lot to do with the fact that these countries became a part of the EU. A lot of EU investments were poured here. If you look at countries like Poland or Hungary, like a big part of car industry, for example, switched there, the basic production and so on. This is the GDP growth was a major driver of the general growth of the market here. And I do believe there are reasons to believe that this can continue. I mean, obviously there are risks now concerning everything that's been going on with Russia and so on, but hopefully this will be resolved in a relatively short period. After that, what remains, some of the key things I believe make this region interesting. You have probably already heard about the general trend of, I think deglobalization is a kind of a maybe too strong a word, but nearshoring, that's something that has really already started happening. So Western European companies prefer to have production closer to home than maybe in China, India, and so on. We've seen during COVID how difficult it can be to manage these chains, I would say, if they are all over the world. So you're kind of more secure if you have production somewhere closer to home. And the part of Europe that's ideal for this is actually Central and Eastern Europe, because it's the cheapest, to be honest. This is what attracts them. Other things that can help.
Yeah. But I wanted to say something here. You were talking about the nearshoring, deglobalization versus the nearshoring. I think it's most, or actually it's more like nice to have this reshoring or bringing back the factories and so on. Because in order to do this, you have to have also the labor, the qualified workforce to do it. And I guess this is a major problem, not in Western countries, only in Western countries, but also in the Eastern countries, just like us, because everything now is not like, how do you say it, labor intensive, there are robots in factories, then, everything is going automated right now. And for a long period of time, China was considered the main factory of the world, isn't it? Everything, if you wanted to do something, you were going to China, and they were working on it no matter what. But looking back again at this graphic, let me put it once again here. Comparing the evolution of the indices from Southeastern Europe, Romania and moreover Slovenia and so on. So we had actually a very good evolution in the last year, in the last 10 years. But if you are looking at the valuation, because this is also the same, it's an important thing. You put here the P ratio, the price earning ratio, and here actually now in Romania we have a medium of around 10, 11, something like this. And we have also, we are known as a country or as a stock market that has a higher dividend yield than most of the other stock markets in Europe, maybe, and I don't know, somewhere else in the world. For how long do you think that this low valuation, around 10, 11, from a PE perspective, it will last? I mean, we need to catch up with other countries, isn't it, and with other stock markets.
Yeah. However, if we look at the reasons why, for example, Nasdaq is traded at about 30 times price earnings and Romania is at 11-ish, a lot of this has to do with expectations. Okay. Now, Nasdaq, you expect probably high growth, AI adding to the growing earnings in the future and so on. So this explains a part of the difference. But looking at Romania, don't forget that at this point you have companies that have already given warnings about their earnings for this year. Some of them even mentioned next year as well. A lot of this was related to taxations and to the uncertainty of some policies that are about to be introduced. So if you're an investors, you might think, okay, if I invest in Nasdaq today, I'm paying 33 times price earnings, but maybe 2 years from now, I'll be paying 25 or 20. Imagining that the prices remain the same, for example. On the other hand, if you're expecting or worried about a possible decline of earnings in Romania, you say, okay, today I pay 11, this seems cheap, but if the earnings go down, this grows to 13, 14, and so on. So I would say that a part of this difference also most of this difference has to do with expectations and actually with the uncertainty of what's going to happen in Romania, what kind of taxes we're going to have, how much they're going to impact companies, and even much more important, how much this will impact the economy in a longer term. I think that most investors would more than happily accept a situation in Romania that says, okay, for the next 1 or 2 years, we're going to have to squeeze our pockets in a way, if I can say it like this. And then afterwards, we're going to have an economic growth boom. The policies will be, pro-growth and so on. I'm pretty sure that most of the international investors would be more than happy to come to the market at these valuations at this point. However, if you are worried that taxes will be raised now and that the government will not find a way to boost the economy and actually lower the taxes in the coming years, then this becomes a problem. And then we can discuss about whether Romania will be able to continue outperforming European growth or even, matching it.
So for the moment, we can say, so for the moment we can say, or we can conclude that this P ratio around 10, 11, it's a fair value for Romanian market. Yeah.
Let's talk about this investment and diversification, and a lot of Romanians start to use ETFs, to diversify their portfolios. You track Romanian piețele, with your InterCapital ETF, but we are advanced frontier market, as you said before. As I know, there are no ETF tracking this MSCI advanced frontier market, so Romania lose a lot of billions of dollars to attract. What's your opinion about this, your ETF, and what's your opinion about this market? Romania has already on the better, let's say, 4 ETFs, the same. What's your opinion?
Well, I was surprised that there will be 4 ETFs tracking bet, more or less tracking the same index, I would say so. Especially taking into account that with ETFs, the bigger you are, the lower costs you can offer, and the better your product actually is. So maybe I would have expected more things like distribution agreements between banks, maybe having 1 or 2 ETFs and then others distributing it, sharing fees and so on. But okay, this is very specific about Romania, a market of this size having this many ETFs. If nothing else, it's going to be a very interesting topic to write about and to research in the coming years on what the effect of this actually is. But yeah, you said that we do have a Romanian ETF. Our idea is not to offer it only in Romania. So obviously, I would say the market is somewhat saturated there. What we do is we offer the same ETF actually on other markets as well. It's listed in Croatia and Slovenia. Through Slovenia, it's also available to users of Interactive Brokers, for example. So there's a lot of investors who do have access to it. We are working to introduce it to even more stock exchanges. Hopefully, maybe this year, but more probably next year, you'll be able to hear something about this as well. So this is a way of promoting and growing the consciousness about Romania among foreign investors. I would hope that some of the other ETF providers also choose a similar path of actually promoting the market elsewhere as well, because it really helps all of us. I think Romania has so much more potential, and it's better to have a bigger cake, even if you get a smaller piece at the end, than for the cake to remain small.
Yeah, from an investor's point of view, I think the competition is good because at the end of the day, actually, if there are several companies, just like you with the ETFs, maybe those commissions that you are talking about will get a little bit lower, and I don't know, they will reach some point, some point where investors would be, I don't know, very glad to take position and to invest more, or I don't know, something will happen. But I wanted to ask you. You said that you will get this ETF on other markets. Actually, it is on other markets.
Yes.
Did you see interest through foreign investors? They say, okay, we have now another vehicle to invest in Romania, a new one. We can get exposure to the entire market, to a very good index bet. How I don't know. Are they coming to Romania to actually invest through this ETF, or just I don't know, we are thinking about it, or how do you feel them?
Yeah, I mean, we attracted much more money abroad than in Romania.
Okay.
We publish the statistics every day on the Bucharest Stock Exchange, so you can see that the class that we have listed in Bucharest is about 5 million euros, and elsewhere it's 20 million euros. So it's much more there. What we feel is that now we are reaching a size when we become actually interesting for larger institutional investors as well. Because don't forget, if you're a large institutional investor, you don't want to invest like 1,000 euros or 100,000 euros. You want to invest millions. And there's this thing about limits in your portfolio. You are usually not allowed to invest more, to own more than, let's say, 10 or 15% of the total assets of an ETF. So if we have 25 million right now, a big investor could invest 2.5 million or maybe 3 million at the most. This has become an interesting size right now. So as of this point, I believe we can attract them. Before, when we were an ETF of, I don't know, 500,000 5 million or 10 million in total, this was just too small. So now that we've reached this kind of size, we are now focusing on going to other markets as well, because now we feel that there is something we can really offer and attract even more assets.
That's great news. Yeah.
Okay. I think we reached the final to our show, but I want to ask you to take a conclusion if you had to summarize Romania's investment case, let's say like this, for the foreign investors, yes, what will be the message, your front message, the key message?
Yeah, maybe a short story of my history of investing in Romania, which really summarizes, I think, how a lot of people feel who've never been to Romania and never invested there. So we started investing in Romania like 15 years ago. I've been investing or coming there for 10 years now. And I can really say at the beginning, I felt like, why are we going to Romania? That's a small market. It's underdeveloped. It's, they say that there's a lot of, suspicious things going on there and so on. The thing is, once we got there, corruption and so on. Once we got there, we really started seeing that there's a lot of potential. Among all of this, you need to search, you need to find it. But I really believe that the biggest companies in Romania right now are focused on, doing business in the right way. Throughout these 10 years that I've been present there, Romania has gone through a lot of, call it political crisis, changes, and so on. There's always something. However, the economy and the stock exchange has always managed to kind of move beyond this and go forward. I'm not saying that the current situation is not big. So, this is maybe one of the biggest challenges that Romania has faced since I've been there. But I do believe that the country has potential to overcome it. So my call to everyone would be definitely consider Romania, consider having it in your portfolio. If not right now, if you feel like it's too risky, keep an eye on it and wait for the right opportunity.
Yeah.
But in these years, you're telling us to invest and making business, you start a little bit and to think and act like a Romanian, or you keep your Croatian mentality, let's say?
Well, I would not say Croatians and Romanians are very, I would say that we are very much alike. So I wouldn't need to change a lot to become a bit Romanian, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Divo. Good luck and hope to see you soon.
You too. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Ok. Încheiem aici. Ne vedem mâine la aceeași oră. Până atunci, ca de obicei, seară plăcută și profitabilă. La revedere!
La revedere!